Alright, you read the title of this video, Better Handheld Filmmaking. But we already seen a ton of videos, so what can be different in this one? Well, let's dive into a little bit of the theory, as well as some practical techniques for better handheld filmmaking. I just repeated myself with the title. Welcome back to cinedailies. So let me actually add some context to how we're going to be dealing with handheld footage in this video. So to be clear, I will be referencing or referring to handheld filmmaking to feature films, because with cinematographers using that particular technique, they have intent, they're looking at emotion, and the aesthetic of it, which I think is important to use when you're thinking about camera movement for your own projects. If you're to look on YouTube and type in handheld filmmaking, you'll get a bunch of options for tips and tricks, but you'll hear over and over how to get smoother handheld footage. In my opinion, handheld camera movement isn't supposed to look like a gimbal. Though it can, there's supposed to be movement, energy, subtle imperfections to create a more subjective experience. So let's take one of my favorite films, Children of Men. The opening scene, we are on the street. We're pulled into this world with sort of a frantic handheld movement as the action takes off. Handheld camera movement isn't just for action. Let's take Her back in 2014 as an example. Here we see the camera movement is to convey intimacy, closeness, vulnerability. Those things you can't really have with a gimbal in my opinion, but more of the subtle nuances of a handheld motion. So there's a distinct quality that we're all looking for in our handheld footage. We associate it with smoothness, organic, natural, but what we're really saying is control. Alright, so we have 3 different cameras at 3 different sizes and weight. Starting with the most common camera type, which is a mirrorless camera, I have with me the X-T4. Now remember, our goal is for more control to achieve organic movements and less micro jitters. So what I did is turn off all of the assisting features like IS and in-body stabilization. And the 2 accessories I tend to use without using a cage is just a top handle that goes into the cold chute, as well as some sort of bottom weight. It can be a counterweight from your gimbal setup, or it can just be a battery like the Anton Bauer battery base.
The idea is to let gravity, the counterbalance or the counterweight on the bottom, to guide you.
Yep.
Because if you're doing this, you're gonna end up doing
all the micro jitters.
Yeah, so it's just like loosen your wrist and just let it go.
So we got Trey over here. He's going to be our camera op for the film. And this is your first time using a shoulder rig.
Yes.
For that scale.
Yes.
We got the Z-Cam. We can talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, tell me, so we just did like a quick kind of walkthrough. How did it feel on your shoulder and what did you see in the image?
It was weird, you know, having all that weight.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that type of rig. The control.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't think it was going to be that much control, honestly. The weight balance of everything is really good. Walking with it was a little rough at first.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, how's this work?
Yeah, you know, where's the weight, you know, distribution and stuff.
Yeah,
after about 5 minutes, man, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
With a proper shoulder rig, you have about 3 points of contact. So you have the eyepiece, you have the handles, and then of course the shoulder pad itself, and that's all to kind of stabilize the shot. So have you seen Sean Hulburt? Hulburt? How do you say his last name?
Hulburt.
Hulburt? Hulburt? My bad, bro. He does his video on a shoulder rig, and he talks. I watched that almost like religiously, just over and over, just kind of learning from that. But when it comes to like walking with steps, he likes to walk the same step as the talent.
Yeah.
I also like to get into sync with the people that I'm walking with. I call it on step. You're actually physically walking with the person and you're matching their step. If they're going a little faster, you're going a little faster.
Man, I'm like all on the edge. Like, dang.
All right, big tip. You can't lead into. Yeah, so take time in your pre-production to do your homework on what camera package you want to be shooting with. Some cameras have a global shutter, some don't. And it doesn't matter how much weight you put on your camera, proper rig is heavy. Say you have this Blackmagic and it's fully built out. Well, guess what? It doesn't have a global shutter, so when you're shooting action, it's gonna get sloshy.
It's a very good point. I actually didn't think about that till you said that.
It's a good one, right?
It's a great point. Alright, so Tommy makes actually a good point about global shutter versus a rolling shutter. So a global shutter actually exposes the entire sensor at the exact instant. A rolling shutter exposes line by line top to bottom, resulting in a jello effect or a split frame. Now, a faster readout time lessens this effect in camera, and this is measured in milliseconds. CDP has a great breakdown on roll shutter versus global shutter, so I highly recommend watching that video. It's in the description. This is not to say that rolling shutter is inferior to global shutter. There's a lot of rolling shutter cameras out there in the market already. But what I am saying is think about the camera package, just like Tommy was saying. Think about your camera package and which camera will be best used for your budget and for the project and stuff like that. If you don't have the resources to actually buy a camera, you can always rent. I'm always gonna just drive this point home. Lens Rental has several cameras that have global shutters, which is the Zcam S6G, the Komodo, and some other ones. So check them out. There is a discount code in the description below. So yeah, help the channel out. All right, let's get back to the rest of this video.
Upper body strength, get swole. Carry cameras like Darren Miller. That's actually,
Bro,
no,
nerds.
Listen, they did so much weightlifting with the cameras, man.
And they just holding reds like on their pinky. It's like right there, like that. All right, I just wanted to wrap up this video. I know the lighting looks a lot different and audio might sound different too. All that stuff is at the studio. But I hope you learned something from this. I sure did. And this is not like a super serious topic, but something I've been thinking about over the time and what I've been seeing from my own work and work that's already out there. I just want to drive home the point that you have to be intentional of what you're shooting and then how you're shooting it. Without intention, it just kind of just becomes a floating camera shooting at a subject. So if you can drive home the attention to detail for why you're doing that particular shot, then I can totally say that your filmmaking will be a lot better moving forward. And you can apply, if not all these tips, to whatever filmmaking you're doing, not just feature films, short films, or whatever. You can do content creation, documentaries, you name it. But just, again, be more intentional and yeah, create good work. So yeah, that wraps it up. Obviously, if you want to see more content like this, like and subscribe. This definitely does help the channel. We're trying to grow. And stay tuned for exciting things coming to the channel. All right, I'm out. Peace.